Alright. Action.
I've been wanting to make. I got several videos up my sleeve. I just haven't had the time. I'm working 2 jobs right now, and then when I'm not working those 2 jobs, me and my wife have been running around. We got a bunch of official documentation stuff we've been dealing with. Fucking U.S. government shit, you know. That shit never ends. But I've been wanting to make a couple videos. This video I'm wanting to do is on Christopher Lee, which actually he kind of jumped back into my life again as far as interest is. I can't remember who we were watching. Do you remember?
No. What are you talking about?
When we found out about his metal album.
Oh, no. No, that was a little while ago.
Yeah, I was just trying to give them a shout out. It
Yeah.
was some YouTuber or something, but yeah, Christopher Lee has a fucking metal album, 2 metal albums actually, and I was like, what? So I listened to it, and it's redonkulous, in a good way. It's just badass, dude. I'm not saying it's amazing music, but it's not bad. It's just fucking, what the fuck? Christopher Lee making a metal album. But yeah, so I found 2 separate interviews. One on here right now is only 1 minute and 55 seconds. But apparently, he has spoke out about the occult multiple times on the risk of losing your mind into insanity and or your soul, is what he says. But if you look at his career, for one, he's made 2 metal albums. 2, he's played villains in since black and white film, Dracula, Saruman, the evil wizard, the counterpart to Gandalf, Count Dooku, and Lord of the Rings, or not Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, sorry. But yeah, I found this interview, so I'll show you this interview. I didn't even know that he kind of delved into the occult and stuff.
Up in the back there?
It's well known that you have a huge interest in the occult and one of the largest collections of books of that.
I don't have a huge collection.
Oh, he doesn't
Somebody
have a
wrote
huge
I had
collection.
20,000 books. I'd have to live in a bath.
That's 11 above, so he does have a huge collection. Okay, nice. 20,000 occult books he owns.
I have maybe 4 or 5. I have The Devil Rides Out, first edition, signed to me by Dennis Wheatley.
He's fucking with everyone,
There's
man.
a book just come out about him called The Devil is a Gentleman. And I have met people who claimed to be Satanists, who claimed to be involved with black magic, who claimed that they not only knew a lot about it, but as I said, I've certainly never been involved, and I warn all of you, never, never, never. You'll not only lose your mind, you lose your soul. I don't have a big library in the account, no. Look, the internet and the media, if they can't think of something to do, they invent it. If they can't think of something to say, they invent it. I don't know who thought that one up. Looks good in print, I suppose.
Looks good in print, I suppose. Yeah.
So he doesn't have a big collection. He has 4 or 5.
He was
you
just
said.
fucking around,
Yeah.
joking. But yeah, but you can turn the camera back till I find that other one. That other one just popped up in my inbox. So yeah, apparently he's chimed in on the occult a couple times. This other one I'm gonna show you is a super old black and white.
Go to your notification bell.
This one.
Yep.
I'm just not used to working on a laptop.
Yeah, you're okay. It should appear somewhere.
This other one was in black and white. It might have been a suggested.
Okay, yeah. If it wasn't suggested, then it won't be in that
But it was
notification.
him chiming in on the occult again. Let's see, Christopher Lee occult. Some dude was talking about. He mentions that he got to. What was it? He got a book from Anton Zandor Lavey. Here it is. Okay. Christopher Lee discusses black magic in 1975. So he's chimed in
Come into Longhorn
a little bit,
Steakhouse for steakhouse cuts.
which is pretty cool.
New York strip, always popular Flo's Filet.
Okay.
Limited time, 14-ounce.
You gotta love
Delgado.
YouTube
That's how
commercials.
steak is done.
Be nice if I got
Steakhouse,
some
you
commercials and got
steak.
paid.
Do you regard black magic as being purely fictitious, or is there some truth in it? Some truth. 100% truth. There is nothing fictitious about black magic, in any way whatever. It is a fact. It is a fact which has existed for several thousand years. I mean, when we talk about black magic, we are talking about Satanism, necromancy, alchemy, witchcraft, the worship of Satan, the worship of dark forces, whether it's voodoo, juju, whether it's something practiced in the Western world or the Eastern world, whether it's easily defined or not easily defined, the order of the left-hand path, the following of this, the following of that. It is basically the worship of the force of evil as embodied by Satan, Lucifer, the princes of darkness and their legions and so on. In a very simple sense, of course, it goes much more deeply than that. It is a fact. It is a desperately dangerous fact. It does exist. It exists around us today. Satanic ceremonies will be happening in Britain tonight. Very
I love
definitely.
it.
Ask any priest. Ask any
Satanic ceremonies will be happening in
forces of
Britain
law and
tonight.
order, and they will tell you that Satanism as such,
Alright,
it's there.
let me
and has
pause
been
that.
Thousands of years.
Satanic ceremonies will be happening in Britain tonight. That's important what he said right there. And this is 1975. Who was that talk show host that just got outed for doing like crazy satanic ceremonies? He called himself a black magic wizard. He did it. He ran a kids show. Fuck. He's like almost like Pizzagate of England. He knew like all like the Queen of England was family of the royal or friends of the family royalty. He was knighted, Sir something.
Honestly, I do not.
Okay, I'm gonna pause it. I am gonna get back to where this was because no, this is important. This is an important rabbit hole because it is connected with what he just said. And he, honestly, being an actor, he knew what was going on. And I've never really seen much interviews of him, but he knows all that fucking weird shit that's going on, like Pizzagate, Illuminati, and shit.
Well, I'm sure in some sense he does, honey, but at the same time, one could say that that statement he made was just in a sense of saying he just because he believes black magic is real, he's just saying that, yes, no matter what, a ceremony is going to go on tonight, no matter what.
Yeah, but it made me think of this guy specifically who was doing it in the 60s and 70s. He ran a popular kids show back in the UK.
I honestly can't remember who you're talking about. I'm having trouble.
He had crazy eyes and shit.
Yeah, I remember seeing the video with you. I just can't remember who it is.
Okay, well, thank you, God, if there is one, for giving me that mind, that blank.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just finish the video. If I remember his name, and if you guys can remember who I'm talking about.
Man has worshipped the devil longer than he has worshipped, perhaps an established religious figure.
Do you think you're in any danger in mimicking it in front of a camera?
No, that's an interesting question, because I must admit that it did enter our minds when we were performing some of these ceremonies. You see, I am playing, as I told you, a priest. The various ceremonies that are carried out by the priest, in this case myself, and the members of his group or coven, are blasphemous ceremonies, totally blasphemous and totally profane. They have to be. That is to say, they must be profane and blasphemous to be effective. This is part of the ritual and part of the belief of these people, that in order to make any kind of ceremony totally effective, it must be the exact diametrical opposite of the real ceremony. That is to say, if you make the sign of the cross, you do it like that, upside down. if you are going to carry out a satanic ceremony, whether it's a baptism or a particular group of people doing something like trying to raise an elemental or trying to create the perfect situation for an evil spirit or trying to produce evil vibrations and so on, they plug in, so to speak, the force of evil like plugging in on a switchboard and a telephone. In order for this to be effective, it must be carried out, as I've already said, by a consecrated person, i.e. a priest, and it must also be carried out on consecrated ground. Now, in this film, I, as a priest, am carrying out these ceremonies like baptism, in the name of the Dark Lord, in a real church. Now, obviously, I'm an actor. At least I hope people think I am.
At least I hope people think I am.
I am therefore an actor playing a part. So are the other people in front of the camera who are taking part in the ceremony with me. We are all acting. I asked the parents of the baby, the real baby, that I baptized in this real church in a blasphemous way, if they objected, if it worried them, this 5-week-old baby. And the parents, who are very young, said, no, it doesn't worry us. We are Catholics. Our child will be baptized by a Catholic priest. We will tell him about this, but it doesn't worry us. And the father gave the most sensible reason for this. He said, it's only a film. And if you can think of it in that way...
Okay, I do have to say this. Yeah, Catholics are real big on baptizing their kids. Like, and where I was raised, like, Protestant, we didn't get baptized until it was voluntarily. Like, I've never been baptized. But, I know Catholics, like, they baptize a baby, and Protestants have always kind of disagreed with that, because it's like, if the baby's innocent, it doesn't need to be baptized. It's already, if it dies, it's already going to go into the Lord's hands, you know. We were dedicated, I think, when we were babies. Like, our preacher dedicated us with holy water or holy oil to be, like, brought up in Christianity. But I've never been baptized. Like, Joseph, my brother, has. Brandon, I think, has been baptized. Me and Luke haven't been baptized, I think, because Protestants look at it as a voluntary thing. Like, when you get saved, you get baptized.
Yeah.
And you don't get saved until you're like 12 years old, because in God's eyes, you're innocent until you're 12, which makes sense. You go through puberty, you start sinning more. 12 and under, you're like a kid, you know.
You really just don't know yet.
Yeah. You're not held accountable for your sins.
My eldest sister and me were baptized. Ryan, he was never baptized.
Yeah.
But we were. I remember getting baptized. I did not like it because I didn't trust
Were
my
you
priest.
saved?
I guess, honestly. I just remember the baptizing process just because of where it was, you know, obviously the priest who did it.
Right.
Or not priest, but a pastor. And obviously, like, I knew of him, but I did not know him. So because he's the one that's dipping me in this act of trust, it's like, I don't trust you. I don't know you. I don't know you.
Right.
Because I never personally talked to him, hung out with him in the church or nothing. So for me to have someone I don't actually trust dip me into water all the way under.
Yeah.
And cold water at that. This water was not warm.
Right. I think they do that for shock factor, honestly.
Yeah, so when you come
that
out,
cold
you're
water
all,
shit. Yeah.
You know, the whole, you had the face of I've been saved.
Dude, a lot of that shit is theatrics. I remember when Joseph and Nikki got baptized, and I'm not bad-mouthing their baptism.
No.
Because they honestly, from what they said afterwards, they had a very spiritual experience. But
which is good for them.
They chose, like, one of the coldest days of the year out in a fucking creek. And I'm just looking at them like, y'all are maniacs just on the point that it's freezing fucking cold out here. We're all standing out here in jackets, and you guys are about to get dipped underwater, you fucking maniacs. Like,
yeah, I was inside.
I was like, y'all are crazy just for that.
Yeah, our church that I went to at that time as a young kid, it was whenever you walked into the main doorways, like, of course, you had the little area.
They had, like, an actual tank.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah, we did ours outside, dude, because it was, like, Southern Baptist or whatever.
Yeah, so you had your step up to the pasture area, your choir was here, but in the middle was this big open area,
right.
And you couldn't see the tank, but the tank was there. That's where it was at, and it only went so far up,
right.
And that was it. It was just like this nice big old open area, so you could watch the pasture dip the person in and bring them back out.
Nice.
You couldn't see the water unless you were right up there. And they put you in a white robe and everything.
But yeah, another side note, me and her are going to church now, which I'll go into detail on that, why we're doing it. It's for educational reasons and financial reasons. That's a whole nother video, and you're gonna be like, how does that have to do with education and finance reasons? And I'll make a video on that. That's one of my videos that that's coming up. I got like several in my head, but I'll finish out this interview and show you what else Christopher Lee has to say on the occult. But 2 particular interviews I had seen, I was like, holy shit, that's some deep shit. But we'll play again. Sorry, I just got distracted when he got into baptism.
Fine. I have a rather vivid imagination, and some of the people who were working with me in this sequence were also discussing this, and we felt a little uneasy. You know, you are saying terrible things, and you are saying it on consecrated ground. But then the other side of you takes over, the logical side, and says, look, we're only actors doing this, you know. We're not doing it for real. We were sort of looking at the roof to see if there's any sign of it falling.
Okay, I like that he said that, too, because a lot of people, man, a lot of these conspiracy channels and stuff,
Oh my god, that one guy.
it's kind of irritating because just because someone's playing in a movie about the devil or an occult-based movie, they're like, oh, see, right there, there's evidence. Clearly they're satanic or they're Illuminati. Like, he literally said in multiple interviews, hey, don't fuck with black magic, don't fuck with the Illuminati, and without saying the Illuminati, pretty much saying, don't fuck with the occult. You know, I'm doing this as an actor. I'm playing, you know. I mean, how many times have you done it with a kid? Like, oh, I'm a demon. I'm a monster. Ah, you know, trying to scare your kids, put on a mask or something. Or how many times have you done it with your spouse? Like, hid in a dark corner of the house and you know they're walking through to go to the bathroom and jump out. You know, I used to do that shit to my like brothers all the time. The house would be dark or something and I'd hide behind a corner and I'd start going, Brandon, you know, or Lucas. Like, they're just acting. Like, just because they're playing an Illuminati role doesn't mean, you know, they're fucking Illuminati. Like, dude, if I was a millionaire, I was talking to Sammy about this the other day. If I was a millionaire, I would be gothed out, dude. I'd be wearing eyeliner, black painted nails, long ass hair. You know, I'd be wearing the craziest fucking get-ups, dude. I would be like, because at that point I wouldn't care. I don't have a job to go to. I would be dressing fucking crazy. So I know, like, if I was famous and rich, like, people would be like, oh, he's fucking Illuminati. Like, no, I just like to dress like, I'd be wearing shit like Steven Tyler and shit, man. I would.
That's who I was thinking of.
Yep, I'd be so wearing some Steven Tyler, like, Jim Morrison style shit.
Yeah.
You know?
You would.
And everyone would think I'm fucking over here 666. And the thing is, too, if I was rich and famous, I would do it. I would do that type of shit just to fuck with people. Like, if I knew the paparazzi were around, I'd be doing, like, this whole number here, like, and closing one eye, or just be, like, a random me getting out of a restaurant. Like, I would so be fucking doing that. And just watching, like, the next day, I would be, like, watching all these conspiracy videos, like, dude, they think I'm a part of the Illuminati, dude. This is fucking great. I got them focusing on me instead of shit that actually fucking matters. Like, fuck Pizzagate. Fuck Jeffrey Epstein. They're focusing on me, dude. Fucking love it. I would be trolling so fucking hard, man. But yeah, Christopher Lee's like, that point he makes here, though, that it's just he's just acting, dude.
And on top of this, that nothing happened. I think we were far more worried about dropping the baby, to be quite honest. While we're on that subject, it might be interesting to say, amusing to mention, that the baby certainly got its own back on me. When it came to the actual baptism of the child, I have already told you that the parents didn't object, because I was making the sign of the cross on the child's forehead in supposedly blood, upside down, and baptizing the child into the service of the Dark Lord. And the child obviously was getting a bit bored and a bit cold and didn't like being taken away from his parents and held in my arms and then held in somebody else's arms. And it was making a lot of noise. And I started to speak very quietly, and there was complete and total silence, which impressed everybody. And I myself thought, well, you know, it's listening. It was staring at me with rigid concentration. And I suddenly realized why there was this total silence and this rigid concentration. The child was retaliating in the way in which it knew best, all over me, and all over the lady who was holding the child. Well, all I can say is it speaks volumes for our
His
self-control.
voice
And none of us
sounds
broke
so
out because, of
different
course, it was
when he's
extremely
younger.
Why has there been a resurgence of interest in the subject?
But think about the roles he's played.
I honestly don't know. I've been asked this question all over the world. I've talked to people who are serious professional students of the occult. I've talked to a man who
We were
talked about the
commenting on
occult
how much his voice
in
sounds
America,
different.
called the occult
By the way, this
explosion.
interviewer looks like a
think
beetle,
it's a form
man.
of It's the fact that
Yeah, it
in
was,
this day and age we do live in a somewhat
popular.
disagreeable world in many respects, and I don't have to even talk about it. Everybody knows this is a fact. And people are constantly seeking for a way out, whether it's to gratify their own desires or whether it's to find a way out of their own loneliness, or whether it is looking for power or physical indulgence or whatever you like to call it. I think it's always this question of people looking for a road out, an exit, an escape, some form of safety valve which will help them to blow off steam. They don't realize how dangerous it is to get involved in this respect, because inevitably they start at a lower level and then they get absolutely under the control of the bosses, because the bosses exist. They have the same ranks in the church of evil as they have in the good church. They do. They have ranks in the hierarchy of the priesthood, just as you have bishops and deacons and archbishops and cardinals and so on. You have various ranks and grades, like Magister Templi, the master of the temple, Ipsissimus, the sort of number one top man.
Magister
And this is not
Templi.
just occult,
I've never heard of that.
occult writing for the sake of writing. This is a fact, and people really believe in this. As a matter of fact, there is a church in Los Angeles called the Church of Satan, which is run by a man called Anton lavey, who has written 2 books. I'm not sure that he intended to be taken too seriously, otherwise, obviously, if it was true and complete Satanism, it wouldn't be admitted. But he sent me a copy of 2 of his books because he'd seen a picture I'd done with Sammy Davis Jr., in which I'd played the devil, a very sort of modern, up-to-date devil, Lucifer. The thing was called Poor Devil. The film was called Poor Devil. It was very amusing. It was a comedy. And he sent me a copy of one of these books, which was headed Regi Satanas, which means Satan is king, more or less. And he wrote underneath to Christopher Lee, a fine actor and a perfect devil, Anton lavey. Well, I took that as a compliment. I don't think that's intended to be taken too seriously. That is all out in the open. But the real thing is something which I wouldn't be prepared to discuss. I have never attended a ceremony of this kind. I would not even begin to discuss what actually takes place during a black mass, because it is so appallingly blasphemous and so repulsive and so unbelievably foul. Not just a question of hundreds of years of ritual, but what actually happens, what people actually do, and what is done to the host, and what is done to the cup, and so on. Something I wouldn't be prepared to discuss in public. Enough people have written about it. Joris Karl Huysmans wrote about it. Dennis Wheatley has too, of course.
How did you come to play the part of Scaramanga in the James Bond film The Man with the Golden Gun?
Can I, just before we get into that, just make a point that, by the way...
Yeah, he
what
just
I've
totally
discussed
went
and what
on to
I'm telling you about all
007.
these,
Like,
terrible
you didn't
things,
hear
does not
anything he
come
was
from
just saying, dude?
inside knowledge by any manner of means. I don't...
How'd you get into
as I said, have a private
007?
line of any kind which feeds me this sort of information. I know no more about it than anybody else who can read about it in the book.
Huh. But yeah, I love how, like, he hears this amazing rant, and then, so how'd you play the villain in James Bond? Did you not hear anything he just said? But yeah, apparently, so yeah, he got contacted by Anton lavey. That's crazy. But, I don't know, those are 2 videos that I thought fit together, and you don't see those type of interviews nowadays. Now you see people on Ellen and fucking The View and just like stupid talk shows, and no one mentions shit like that, you know, like shit that actually matters. But there you go. I love Christopher Lee. Rest in peace, you know. Yeah. Talking about the occult. Some deep shit. Hope you guys get something out of it. Let me know in the comments if you... I cannot remember that man's name. He was in the 70s in England. He had a bunch of ties. He ended up running a psychological hospital to where he was having sex with the patients. He was having sex with underage girls. He was like one of the biggest pedophiles, and they didn't find out till after he died. That's when they found out that he was a creep, man. I'm trying to remember his name, but that's about it. See you guys later.